Minister, I was struck by something you said a few days ago about how COVID is actually going to test the resilience of the European Union. How serious do you think this is? I mean, how much of a test will it be?
I have to be honest with you. 10 years ago, when there was the Lehman Brothers crisis, Europe was divided. Indeed, many countries, Greece, Portugal, Spain, Italy, there were many problems in terms of resilience on the financial markets. And Europe went out from that crisis just when Mario Draghi pronounced the famous whatever it takes. So 10 years ago, Europe was not united, was not coordinated. Nowadays, I must say, and I have to be very, not optimistic, but very realistic. We are moving since March on the same mood. We took all the decision all together. European Central Bank with Christine Lagarde that boost a lot of liquidity, the European Commission with Ursula von der Leyen, and now also the government. They are coordinated new fiscal policy that were not existing before. I mean, yesterday we decided to work on this recovery fund, this next generation, as we call it, that was not existing 2 months ago. So I have to say that we have the common problem is the resilience of the market union, is the resilience of the European chain of value, and all the countries, all the 27 are based on the common internal market. So all the benefits of the common internal market are under discussion. So therefore, we are working all together to react to this crisis.
Also, you mentioned the recovery fund. Italy is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries. I believe you're going to get about 170 billion euros out of the 750 billion.
It
Uh,
seems.
yeah, it seems. Do you think this is just, possibly just part of what is needed, and maybe actually what you need will be much more than this?
Well, the European Central Bank is giving a lot of liquidity, and this is the good effect. Just the last program is boosting more than 1 trillion euro. Then the European Commission allowed us to have macroeconomic expenditure because lift up all the rules in order to let the country spending, and we are doing with our fiscal capacity. What is coming now is money directed to the investment. It's not directed to the current expenses. And so this money for the investment will be very helpful in order to relaunch the industrial base of the internal and European market. So we are taking this money in order to lift some other money that we are going to use, not for investment, but for national needs. So I think this is a good help in terms of solidarity among the countries. And I have also to say that for the first time, European Union is going to promote bond. So this is an old discussion that we always did to use the bond also because the Commission has a big reliability on the market. So the bond will have interest rates that are very convenient for all of us. So I think that we are doing a really historical decision during these very days.
What sort of a role do you think possibly a country like India could play in this whole situation, where, you start looking at reopening markets and looking at an exit strategy? Where could India fit in, with the European Union countries?
When I say that Europe and India, they are sister, because if I look where we are going to invest, I see that you are the actor relevant for our common future. When I say Green Deal means renewable energy and digital transition means technological one, we can exchange a lot of your capability and also a lot of fuel that you have in terms of human capital devoted to the digital transition. So we are going to be aligned in this common world. And there is also a nice moment that we have to take in consideration. Italy will be president of G20 in 2021. India in 2022. Means also for bilateral relation is an historical moment, because we are going to be the two countries, Italy and India, that will bring the G20 outside of the recession. So it means that we have a responsibility, a coordinated responsibility to present to the main actor on the global level how we can recover from this pandemic and this global economical crisis.
In the G20 virtual summit that was held some time ago, one of the issues that was raised by several leaders, including our Prime Minister, was the need for some reforms of certain institutions, multilateral global institutions like the WHO. Where does your country stand on this issue? Is there now a pressing need once the crisis is over? Do we really have to look at issues like this?
Your Prime Minister was right, because the multilateral asset of the global order is not updated to the risks and the opportunity also of the current period. The WHO, I don't think it performed in a correct way during this crisis. There were many delays and many problems. Can you hear me? I lost you? Yeah.
I think we just could we just go back. Could you just go back a little bit, because we just missed the last few comments that you made.
Yeah, I say that the WHO for this crisis didn't perform according to some criteria, and I think it's necessary, for example, to open an independent inquiry on what happened in China. That was the starting place of this COVID-19 crisis. So this means that we need more multilateral organizations that are related to the needs of the global order and not just related to the payment that they receive from donors. And so this is a way in order to not to have less globalization order in terms of a multilateral asset, but we need more, and we need more in terms of updating the criteria and the democratic, let's say, resilience of the multilateral order.
As people go back to having meetings, although in a virtual form, I mean, we have a meeting coming up between the Indian and Australian Prime Ministers on June 4th. It's going to be the first bilateral, summit post-COVID. And already one of the things that we are hearing that both the countries want to discuss is the question of alternative supply chains. It's something that is coming up again and again. The need for new supply chains, the need for new value chains, which is something you have also spoken about. Do you think India and Italy can work together on issues like this?
Look, I'm afraid that for the next months, the export will be in crisis, of course, and there will be, as somebody say, a move to a de-globalized world. I mean, a shorter supply chain, because the crisis will not give the possibility to restore quickly all the global value chain. But we should not be afraid. It will be, in my opinion, a temporary moment where the economy, they should recover. Then we have to work for a different asset of the free and fair trade. I think that we should think, all of us, in terms of global legal standards. We should think that free and fair trade means also conditionality, reverse conditionality. There is not just one way, like the Belt and Road Initiative. There are many ways that we have to restore the global chain. And in order to do this, each country, they should be in the front load of this recovery. There should be not just one way of distributing, producing, and giving let's say, the ownership of this trade track. There should be largely comprehensive of different options, and the European Union, as you know, is a country devoted to have a diversification of routes of trade and creation of value chain.
Also, where do you see, what are the possibilities of and Italy working together on solutions to the COVID crisis? Things like therapeutic solutions, vaccines. Is there scope, greater scope? Because, India is known as a key pharmaceutical player, but not so much for research and development. Research and development happens more in other countries, but do you think the two sides could come together, Europe and India, and work on solutions?
Absolutely, yes. We discovered that we have global needs, global public needs, where of course the private company, they could have a place, but what we have to recreate when we saw emergency like this, that we need a coordination of our research, a coordination of our pharmaceutical acknowledgement, and also a coordination that should be free and transparent. And this means also that, for example, for the vaccine, they should be globally provided for everybody and not closed just for a few countries. So in this sense, the European pharmaceutical research and the Indian capability to develop technological needs, it's a twinning that we have to absolutely to explore.
Also, you've also spoken in recent days about global power realignments. Do you foresee this happening rather speedily, or is it something that's going to happen once the world has, dealt with the impact of COVID, and then when there is a little bit more of normalcy, or is it already starting to take shape?
Look, me, I'm afraid of course, the economical setup of this crisis in many countries. Countries that, for example, base their budget on oil production, country that base their budget on foreign investment. If we look what is going on in Africa, I mean, is a global concern. So what we have to do nowadays is to understand that the cooperation is not just in terms of some free trade direction, but should be reversed. There should be an exchange. And this is based also to help the country not to enter in the debt trap that they had in the past for foreign investment. So, of course, each country has its own sovereignty, but we know that the cooperation and multilateral connection nowadays, they should have new rules and they should be more implemented.
One final question, I would like to come back again to G20. And as you rightly pointed out, the two countries are going to be chairing G20 in consecutive years. What are you mentioned some of the areas like green technologies, digital technologies, but what are the other areas where now in a post-COVID world that Italy and India should focus on? I mean, what should be the areas that we should be looking at specifically by the time you become the president of G20 and then by the time India moves on to the presidency?
We think that this new priority, green and technology, they could lead to an industrial transformation. This means to apply theory and concept like this to let the SMEs all over the world to grow, because we know that there are new possibilities thanks to the technological revolution. And of course, artificial intelligence, applying technology to the industry in terms of speeding up the production process. And how this process cannot lead to huge number of unemployment is a big question. How we work for the labor market that does not a decrease thanks to the technology. So those are the big questions for this century. How the big opportunity, they don't become big risk. And so how we use the green technology and the digital transformation not in terms of destroying the social cohesion of many countries. And so you are one of the biggest players in these terms. You are one of the biggest democracy in the world. And so what you are going to decide for sure has a leading effect for many countries that still have to have a democratic transition. So the G20 that we are going to lead for Italy is also an opportunity. What we are going to do during our year must be coordinated also with your, let's say, planning for the year after. But because we would like that there is a consequences that we play together in order to try to answer to many questions of our global community nowadays.
One final question before I let you go, and that is, at the time when the COVID outbreak happened, there were a large number of Italian tourists who were, they got infected in India and then they were hospitalized, they were cared for here. At the same time, Italy is home to about 180,000 Indians, and a lot of them were very, happy with the way the Italian government took care of their needs, at least till the time some of them got repatriated or, things became a bit more normal. Did this help build closer links between the two countries?
Absolutely, yes. We thank you very much to the Indian authority for solidarity that we received, and we try all our best to keep your community safe here and welcoming them in Italy. So this, are moment of the history where the real friendship it's clear, and where in the moment of needs you discover the true friends. And so between our two countries we have to increase much more the relation and to increase also the way to behave globally. We are two peaceful countries, country open for export, for hospitality. Many Italians come to India that love your wonderful big country. So we have to increase this way of understanding each other, because we are a bit smaller. You are a giant, but we have to work together to make the global order more comprehensive, cohesive, and also finding the way for our people to express their cultural identity all over the world.
Minister, thank you so much for your time. And I hope we can do this the next time face to face and not on a video link.